evening, everybody. It is Monday, August 19th, and Monday Night Raw has just concluded, so you know what that means. It is time for the Mega Powers Radio Monday Night Raw post-show. Here on Mega Powers Radio, you will hear personalities from all different podcasts joining together here on Monday night to give you our immediate thoughts following the conclusion of Monday Night Raw. To introduce to you who is with us this evening, I'm Mike Paden. I'll be your lead host for this evening. I am also the lead host of Keeping Kayfabe, which airs Thursday on this station, and I take part in many other projects, which we'll be introducing later on throughout this show. Joining me, I have Anthony Mago, lead host of Smark Out Moment, president of Fanboys Anonymous, and also lots of things that we'll be talking about throughout the show. How you doing tonight, Anthony?
Not too bad. Very tired, though, so if I sound exhausted, then my apologies.
As Steve Austin said, you must have had a dream where you ate a muffler because you're exhausted.
What?
Yeah, if you were not on the Steve Austin podcast gig, you got to get on that. It's really good stuff. And apparently, the day after Ric Flair had that whole thing that happened with him at that symposium for WWE 2K14, he was scheduled to do a podcast with Steve Austin. So the day after that, they're going to be in a hotel room together doing a podcast. I cannot wait to hear that one. Also with me here this evening, we got Paul Hibbard. Paul, what's shaking, dude?
Not much. Thanks for having me on. I'd like to congratulate Darren Young for coming out as the first openly gay superstar. It takes a lot of guts to do that, and I'm really happy for him that he's comfortable with himself enough to do that. Congrats, Darren Young. I know your real name's Fred, and I don't know your last name, but way to go, dude.
Durst.
Very well said. And also joining us here we have Mr. Jeff Croop. Jeff, how you doing this evening?
I'm good.
Fantastic to hear, man. And we're trying to get Drew White in here. It looks like he's having some computer issues. So in the meantime, we're just going to keep calm and carry on. Just want to let everyone know if at any point throughout this show, you are always welcome to call in and join the conversation. Give us your thoughts about what happened on Monday Night Raw tonight. Area code 760-512-7247. That's area code 760-512-7247. Yeah, it looks like we just lost Jeff. Oh, goodness gracious. Skype is just being absolutely glorious tonight. Guys, let's start off with the show. We're going to start at the very top and work our way through. Very first segment we had tonight, John Cena comes out. He gives a pretty good speech here. He says Daniel Bryan deserves to be the WWE champion. He announces that he has a torn tricep, and that's why he had that baseball-looking thing sticking out from his shoulder, and that there's a fluid building up in there, and he's going to have surgery to correct it. And unfortunately, that will have him out for 4 to 6 months.
The best part about this segment, though, was when he said he was going to take some time out, and everybody gave him one of the loudest pops of the night. That was actually a bigger pop than what most people got at SummerSlam, which is kind of a shame. But, you know, he smiled and was just kind of like, oh, fuck it, all this coming.
He was a very good sport about it, a very well-spoken speech. I mean, if anyone ever goes out with grace when they get injured, John Cena always is someone.
Mm-hmm.
After that, he introduces Daniel Bryan down to the ring. Stephanie McMahon is soon to follow, and she apologizes to Daniel Bryan for what happened, says he did not deserve it, but Triple H will always do what is right for business, and she needs him to understand that. She tells Daniel Bryan that he is not an A, but he is a solid B+. B+, huh?
Like, I know it's all fake, but this is complete and utter bullshit. He is an A+ wrestler, and everybody knows it. And I hate to see them, use him like this just to get a reaction out of the crowd. Just push the guy. Don't have him be in this situation where he's still got to prove himself after all these years. He already proved himself. He's already there.
I'm curious to see that conversation that they had backstage with people like Yoshitatsu. They're like, look, you're not really a C-. You're more like you're more like a D. This is about the best that you can possibly get. You're good on house shows, buddy. But
that's a very good point.
All right, guys, we got a caller on the line. Caller from 412. I believe this is our good friend JD, very reliable, always calling us in here at the beginning of the show. JD, how you doing this evening, man?
Good, guys. I'm down here in Corona, North Carolina with my family and friends, and my niece just turned 2 today, so everything's going well in North Carolina. How are you guys doing tonight?
Oh, that sounds tremendous, man. It sounds like things are going a lot better for you than they did on Raw tonight, man. Let me tell you, there was this weird energy all over the place today. It seems like a lot of people have just been off today. Things have not been going right for everyone. Glad to hear you had a good day.
Well, I didn't have too bad of a day. The weather's been nice down here so far, so I can't complain. But let's talk about Raw tonight. As far as the show goes tonight, I didn't get to see the first 10 minutes, obviously, because I was celebrating my niece's birthday, but I caught from Cody Rhodes on into most of the show. So I missed the first 10 minutes or so. But let's talk about the good factors and the negative factors about Raw tonight. The negative factors. Is it me, or did Randy Orton, along with the Shield, have to kiss Vince's ass, basically, to be in his good side, and Triple H have to kiss his father-in-law's backside again, become Mr. Kiss-Ass? They screwed Daniel Bryan, or shouldn't I say screwed? They effed over Daniel Bryan, his moment of glory last night, just because Randy Orton has his 2-strike penalty, and they said, oh, Randy, we're going to give you a chance now. We'll give you a chance to go after the championship. Yeah, way to screw up your booking, WWE. Real smart guys. If you want to talk about an MVP tonight, that was really an MVP on the show. CM Punk was the MVP again tonight. How many times, week in and week out, does Punk have to be the MVP? Obviously, however, they're set up with him and Axel. It looks like the night of the champions. And once again, Paul Heyman has to back out like a little bitch, basically, because he's afraid to get his hand in the ring with CM Punk. He's a little weasel. He's a little coward. But like I said, my real anger is more towards Vince, Stephanie, Orton, and the Shield. Come on. What are you trying to prove? Now that John Cena's going to be laid up for a good while, it looks like, with this injury, and they said possibly 6 months, however, and who knows if it will be 6 months, but from what I saw, I've been hearing, it could be that. It's just, who is the only face left in the company that you can rely on besides Punk and Daniel Bryan? Who's the other big name that you can, besides those other two, however, who's going to be the next big name face in the company? Rob Van Dam? Maybe, but at the same time, I don't see it happening. But like I said, they totally effed over Daniel Bryan just because basically Triple H and Randy Orton figured, oh, let's screw Daniel Bryan because once again Vince says, oh, he's too small, he'll never amount to anything. Excuse me, Vince, your little small star had a 30-minute fucking match last night with John Cena that stole the show in L.A. Wake up, buddy. Seriously.
Oh, my goodness, man. A little passionate about this, but, you're not wrong, man. But I saw the highlights. But like I said, there's some superstars that have potential. Another thing, what are they? This whole Ryback bully thing. What are they trying to prove with this? Oh, all he is. You hear the Goldberg chants week in and week out. All he's doing is being these bullies to these people. Roughs up a guy in catering tonight, or a little indie guy tonight. Basically, he roughs up freaking Yoshi last night. He roughs up a guy a few weeks before in catering. And what are they trying to do with Ryback? Oh, let's be a bully and make sure he's a tough guy because he's so tough because he has nothing to do right now. Why don't you just quit being a little bitch bully that you are and get back in the ring and take on someone your own size? Oh, that's right. You probably because you're afraid to get back in the ring because you know you're going to hear the Goldberg chant and you detest those Goldberg chants. Boo friggity who on you, Cryback. Seriously. Go, Jeff.
Oh, sorry. Go, Jeff.
I would like to say that I don't think Daniel Bryan's a B-rated superstar at all. If they got him from ROH, so they must have saw the ROH matches he had, like with Punk and everything. So how can you say someone's a B-rated superstar in your script when you see ROH stuff and you brought him over from ROH? You must have saw something good in him to bring him over into the WWE.
And you had a 30-minute match with your top ace last night in John Cena that stole the show next to Brock and Punk. Those were the two matches that stole the show last night. It wasn't RVD and Ambrose. It wasn't Christian Del Rio. Hell, it wasn't even Dolph and freaking Kayla versus AJ and Big E. And another thing, I've talked about this before with the Divas. Would somebody please tell the Bella Horse to shut the F up whenever they talk in the back? Why don't they just get back in the ring instead of talking trash week in and week out to people like Natalia and the Funkadactyls? Oh, that's right. They're busy kissing with John Cena and Daniel Bryan because they can't get in the ring. They just run their little yaps all the time, but they don't know how to sell bumps and take bumps properly. Give me a freaking break.
Have you been keeping up with Total Divas?
Yeah, I watched it last night, actually. And it wasn't bad last night, but come on. What were they trying to prove? Ariane gets fake boobs last night, and then the Bell said, oh, let's have a little prank, however, and basically take one of the Funkadactyls' boobs and use it as a gag. I mean, the only thing that was kind of interesting last night in a way, and was kind of cheesy in a way, was what Tyson Kidd did with Natalya. I mean, the ending was good, that he finally actually showed a little romance toward Natty. But you know what? The whole time he was just sitting there like a bump on a log, and Natalya's trying to look for some romance out of him, and he just didn't supply. Now, next week it's going to be interesting because next week you see the Bellas deal with their father, and they've had some issues in the past, I guess, with their father. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but maybe there'll be some wounds healed, shall we say. But what else do you got next week? Oh, that's right. The Funkadactyls are fighting each other because of a stupid little argument. Give me a break. It's becoming more and more of a joke.
You can't complain about seeing Natalya in lingerie. Come on.
No, I'm not.
Right.
I think it was pretty nice. And you know what? The thing that ticked me off, like I told you, is that Tyson Kidd showed no romance towards her till the very end of the show.
Yeah. If I were with Natalya, I would love her up and down and all around, and not just sexually.
Well, no, I'm not saying that either. But my one friend's buddy got to meet her a few years ago at a house show. Actually, I think it was either Chicago or KC. I mean, she is supposed to be a very sweet person, both in and out of the ring. She's really nice out of the ring, I've heard. Her history concerning Brett's her uncle and Jim the Ambulance, her dad and everything. But I heard she is one of the nicest, one of the most polite people off TV. But like I said, as far as the Bellas go, what are they trying to prove week in, week out? I mean, they got into a little pissing match last night because apparently Nikki was upset that Bray was bringing some from the Twitter followers that said that she was fat. They're not that, but like I said, they come off both on and off TV at times as moody and bitchy, and they think, oh, just because we're back in the WWE, we should still be the Queen Divas. We rule this locker room. I'm sorry, you haven't had a good match since you came back, girls. Wake up.
Have they had any matches?
They just want to
I think they've had a couple. They had the one match that was pulled off WrestleMania, remember, the night after, I think, and they've had one or two others since. But most of the time, they're just there in the back running their little yaps with their little Jessica Rabbit friend, Ava Marie, which is the biggest joke by far. I mean, she's terrible. You talk about a bad diva. She sets a bad example for the divas. I mean, they tell her two things right away. And what is it, freaking Ava Marie? She basically doesn't do what the company tells her to do. Come on, what's she going to be, the third Bella that she thinks she can get away with everything? I'm sorry, that doesn't work here.
She's pretty much good for photo shoots, and that's about it.
Yeah, pretty much. And the Bellas,
if you look at her Maxim spread is fantastic.
Oh, I've seen it, and you're right, it is fantastic, no doubt about it. But as far as in-ring ability, we haven't seen her in the ring, referring to Ava Marie, we haven't seen her or JoJo in the ring yet. And I don't know what JoJo will bring to the table. Maybe she'll be good like the Funkadactyls, but the thing is, it's just some of these things, like I said, it doesn't make sense. Like I said, the whole RVD Del Rio thing, I wonder if this is the start of something big. I'm hoping it is. We'll see what happens. But like I said, when originally RVD came out tonight, when Del Rio or should I say Ricardo started talking tonight, I thought they were going to bring back Rey Mysterio. And there's the talk about that. Now, the thing that really kind of hurts WWE right now is some of these guys that are getting hurt, like I said, like the John Cena. I mean, look at Sin Cara tonight. He hasn't done much at all lately. And they brought him back tonight to face Del Rio. What happens? He gets hurt in his match with Del Rio, and it looked legit. If you watch the replay again carefully, I mean, he landed on his shoulder kind of funny. They had to stop that match. Now, I don't know if that was legit or not, but from what I saw, it looked legit. And then the tag team division, I mean, other than the Shield, however, you got some tag teams now finally who are going to make a statement. I mean, look at the Usos. They're getting
like the Matadors.
Right now. What's that?
Like the Matadors.
I mean, yeah, what is up with that? You talk about maybe the worst team name ever, the Matadors. You're bringing Primo and Epico back as the Matadors. What is this, 1999? We're having the Conquistadors.
Is that really Primo and Epico? Is that really Primo and Epico?
Yes, I read somewhere that they're being repackaged as this. It's like, why do you want these two back as the Matadors? Seriously.
They're fucking Puerto Rican.
They didn't do much earlier. And what are they going to do? They're going to bring Rosa back and they do her little shimmy again? Come on. She hasn't done anything since she got busted that little incident in Europe earlier this year.
Mm-hmm. I just think that they need to, separate the Shield or maybe have the Shield face the Wyatts. Because the Shield hasn't been doing that much anyways nightly either.
Yeah, Shield has really been without a direction ever since they got those belts. I think the worst thing that's happened to them has gotten those belts, and gosh, I just hope they lose them. Or like you said, maybe even it's just time to split them. Maybe they've done all they can with the Shield, and now the Wyatts is the big trio that they got to worry about.
Well, I could see the Shield and the Wyatts maybe going at Survivors. I think they're going to save that till Survivors. Right now, I think the Shield right now is going to be Triple H and Stephanie and Randy, Vince's new bodyguards, because basically they figure that they might as well just say, you know what, we'll protect you, Vince. We'll do your dirty work for you because we'll attack Daniel Bryan like we did tonight. Come on. Like I said, the only other, who else out there besides Punk that could help Daniel Bryan? There's not many right now in the locker room that can help him at this point. You know,
well, there is a rumor going around they're trying to sign Batista, and maybe they're going to bring in Batista with Daniel Bryan.
Right now, it's the reformation of the corporation.
You talk about Batista. Well, here's a question. You talk about Batista. I thought last night, I said last night after I read the results today, because I didn't see the pay-per-view because I'm on vacation, like I said, but after reading the results last night with what Orton did in basically getting help from Triple H, I was starting to think maybe, just maybe, they're going to start up Evolution again. I can't see that, but it could happen. Then where do you go? Where do you go from there?
I have to wonder if perhaps maybe that was an original intention with this, but based on Ric Flair's conduct this weekend, if maybe they had a bit of a change of plans.
What happened with Flair? I didn't hear anything about this.
Oh, well, they had a symposium, basically like a little exhibition of sorts where they had a few wrestlers gather together in a round table type manner in front of a small audience during their SummerSlam Access thing this weekend for WWE 2K14. And it was Jim Ross was the host, and they had a panel of 6 or 7 wrestlers. They had Dolph Ziggler, Daniel Bryan, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Rey Mysterio, Mick Foley, and Ric Flair. And Ric Flair was completely innocent and quiet for the good first 10-15 minutes, but
and then he went off.
He went off. Like, he just started ranting on the most random things about, like, what a mistake it was to not have him and Hogan at WrestleMania 8. He talked about how he was there the night that Jim Ross and his wife met, and that she must have needed glasses because she had the opportunity to choose between Jim Ross and Ric Flair, and she chose Jim Ross.
And just all this random shit.
Of all people, why would Flair want to embarrass people like that when he's trying to set a good example? A while back they thought they were going to have him as his mentor, and now to come out like this, that's a black guy that Vince should be totally embarrassed about with Rick's conduct like that. I would be.
Well, Rick's not really on the contract, is he? Or is he out of contract again?
He was. No, I think he's under Legends I think he is. I think he's under a Legends deal. I think he's under some type of Legends deal that he is part of the Legends. I don't know. It's a Legends deal, but I don't know what it consists of the Legends deal, though. That's the thing.
It's a light Legends deal at this point. I know he's trying to get a bigger deal where he's sort of like a public ambassador for them, but after this, I don't know.
Can you blame him? After what after what we saw tonight with the whole McMahon family, part of the reason that they bring these things into the ring, they bring these problems with the McMahon family into the ring, is because part of that's true. It's like with racism. Like, racism is a horrible thing, but it's based on truth. Just like the WWE. A lot of this stuff is based on truth.
What?
Just like the thing with Ryback.
Go ahead, JD.
But like I said, guys, the big question is obviously going to be this, like I said already, what's going to happen from here on in. But like I said, with Monday Night Football just around the corner, it's going to be even more interesting to see what the ratings are going to be like. I think they're going to take a little bit of a hit. Again, like I said, we don't know if John Cena's going to be out 6 months. He said 6 months he's going to be out. If he's out for 6 months, then I can see the ratings going to have a real tough time staying where they're at because they could take a serious drop. And then the question is, if that takes a drop, who do you bring back? Who's going to be your top face besides Daniel Bryan and CM Punk? You have 2 good faces now left in the company.
That's a very good
really
point.
Tough spot, man. Sheamus is out. CM Punk, I think, is going to be on a light schedule, if not out for a while. They might need him to stay based on current problems.
Well, he's gotten so banged up.
It's a really Jericho's gone right now for the time being. It's a really tough situation they're going to be in. And you know what? This time of the year is usually the time where things do get to a little bit of lull and quiet down. You know, it's post SummerSlam. Things don't really heat up again until we get to the Royal Rumble. So this is usually the time we see him do some experimental things. I mean, this is around when we saw the Nexus debut. This is when we had CM Punk do his speech. This is when Mark Henry started up the whole Hall of Pain thing. So maybe someone's going to break out that we don't even expect to. Or maybe this will be when Cody Rhodes, or obviously Daniel Bryan is going to start his big rise.
That Cody Rhodes,
Daniel Bryan's been on the rise for months now, guys. Come on, he's been on the biggest role of his life the last couple of months.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Like I said, they totally screwed him over last night. And I'm hoping maybe they'll wake up and have some slap-in-the-face reality check and realize that Daniel Bryan is the top ace. Like I said, he had his moment of glory last night. He fought a great 30-minute match, and to have it taken away like that was a bunch of bullshit. Now you're telling me you're going to have him and Randy Orton at night champion and then finally say to Daniel Bryan, oh, guess what? We're sorry about that 3 weeks ago, Daniel. Here's your chance. We'll give you a rematch. Now you can become a champion. No, you're going to see the same old bullshit that you saw back in the Attitude Era where the McMahons are going to continue to screw him time and time again, and fans are going to get sick of it like me. It's absolute crap. And like I said, it just makes me sick to see a guy like Orton who has 2 strikes against him steal the championship the way he did last night. They told him specifically, if you remember, when he was after he got that second strike, you better keep your nose clean. Well, guess what? You better keep your nose clean now because you're on, basically on shaky, I wouldn't say shaky ground, but you're sort of kind of tilting right now whether or not you make a mistake or not. You better keep your nose clean now because basically you saw the whole thing, what happened with Del Rio and freaking McIntyre over the weekend. And it was
you're playing with fire.
If you get into a fighter, you could be fired. And if you're fired and you lose, basically, you get that 3rd strike, then where do you go from here? Who could be your next SmackDown World Champion? Christian? No. Del Rio's had it for a while. But like I said, it looks like they're set up with him and RVD. But who else on SmackDown Friday night, however, is out there that could make a big statement? Big Show? No. Mark Henry? Doubtful. I mean, they're going to have to really turn up the heat on both of these shows. And right now, I'd say right now, after what I saw tonight, I mean, it's iffy, guys. It really is. I don't know.
I think Show actually looks good now. He looks like better in shape than he was before he got hurt.
He does. He absolutely looks fantastic. I want to dial it back for a second here. JD, if we find ourselves on the opposite side of this, and you're correct about how Randy Orton's going to be played out, and it's going to be the same old shit, I will bow my head down and say you were right. But, man, I just hope it's not. I know you didn't see SummerSlam. I can understand why reading those results would tick you off. But, man, if you saw it, this was really played out very well. Daniel Bryan looked like an absolutely fantastic star. He pinned John Cena cleanly. There was no outside interference. There was no weapons. There was no fluky roll-up. There was no odd officiating by Triple H. He hit John Cena in the head with a knee, pinned him clean 1, 2, 3. There was fireworks. There was confetti. It was one of the greatest WWE title wins in a long time. And yes, he got the title taken away from him, but people know he was screwed.
Right. Well, that's what I heard also, and you're right. And I'm glad they went that way. They were smart last night by going with that. That was the smartest thing they did right. Like I said, the only thing that screwed it up was what happened when Orton decided to come down and say after about less than a month, oh, I'm going to cash in. Like I said, there were 2 good matches that sold that show, which was Punk and Lesnar won, and I do see a rematch maybe coming up either at Survivor Series, if not maybe at Hell in a Cell in October. Now, like I said, where do you go with Lesnar? Do you keep him out until then? Or do you say, oh, let's keep him out until the end of the year and then bring him back in January and then have Punk Lesnar 2 at the Rumble? Do you go that way?
No, you have to have Punk Lesnar at Hell in a Cell. It has to be at Hell in a Cell because one, Heyman will call for it. Heyman will call for Hell in a Cell because, the way they play his character, he wants the most brutal match. He wants the most physical match. Mm-hmm. Whatever to get over on CM Punk, this whole revenge thing, whatever. And 2, Daniel Bryan will win the WWE Championship again because they are missing a big money opportunity by not having him champion. Big money. 100%. Big money.
You are right. You're right. You're 100% right. And I could see that happen at Hell in a Cell. But at the same time, as I said earlier, when is Punk going to get his hands in his greedy little basically his mitts on Heyman. He did it last night, basically, until the no disqualification rule came into play.
It'll be at Hell in a Cell because CM Punk will lock Brock Lesnar in that Hell in a Cell and then have Paul Heyman all to himself.
Yeah, I can see that. Well, guys,
right,
it's been, like I said, I'm glad I got a good bit of time to vent here, but I'm glad I got a chance to catch up with you guys. Like I said, I'll talk to you again next Monday when I get back into the Berg. But you guys
before you go,
week,
JD,
right?
before you go, JD, your high point, low point for tonight's Raw.
Okay, high point, as I said earlier tonight, definitely was Punk. All the way. All the way it was all Punk tonight, I think. And the way he just screamed at that fan, I mean, anytime Punk rips the fans a new one, whether he's a heel or a face, but the way he just delivers, like, basically the shoot-type promos when he comes out there, I mean, he doesn't pull any bullshit. I mean, he'll tell you straight up, like, say, like, to you, you sit down and you have no right to judge me. I'm talking now. And he has a lot of power when he has that. I mean, when he delivers pipe bombs, sometimes you got to be careful what he says, but sometimes, if not most of the time, he is right. And he's been right a lot of the time. I mean, this has been if he's not the MVP this year, something's wrong. I think this has been a breakout year for him, and he just continues to get better and better every time I watch him. I love it when he delivers the pipe bombs. He's one of my favorites. He just does it so great. And I think, like you said, we're definitely going to see this feud continue with him, Axel, and Lesnar for the next month or two. I can see that happen. Low point, I would say, was the ending. The ending to me was bad because, like I said, just when it looked like Bryan was going to talk to Triple H and basically, he was going to come in the ring, Triple H just stands there and he lets his Ambrose, Rollins, Reigns, let him come through. He just stands there and just lets the Shield beat up Daniel Bryan, and then Orton deliver an RKO, and then you have the McMahons just looking down at Daniel Bryan saying, we have the last laugh on you. Well, guess what? It just shows you're kissing ass with each other again and basically wanting to get your own little way because you think Daniel Bryan's too small. Like I said, if they don't see what he did last night, then something's wrong.
All right, fantastic call today, JD. You had a lot of awesome things to say, Nate. Obviously, very passionate about what's going on right now. I'm excited to see where things are going. Are you at least intrigued? I mean, is it at least piqued your interest to keep watching through the remainder of the summer?
Oh, yeah, no question. I never miss Raw, guys. I mean, Monday night's my favorite night of the week, usually. I mean, even if I'm at a Steelers football game, I'm usually DVRing or taping Raw, and then I usually catch up on it. But like I said, I only missed the first little bit with the whole Cena promo and then Daniel Bryan talking his sense before Stephanie came out. So I caught from basically when Stephanie told Daniel Bryan to have security remove him from the building on, because, like I said, I missed the first 5 or 10 minutes, but after that, I caught up with it from there on in.
JD, I admire guys like you because I work 6 days a week, but I always tell my job, give me Mondays off. I need Mondays off.
The whole day?
Exactly.
The whole day. The whole day. I got to prep for Raw.
Well, let me ask you real quick and put you on the spot real quick. One last point, guys. Sure. What do you think the rating's going to come in as tonight? I'm looking at maybe 3-2.
Oh, man. I think the ratings for tonight are going to be off the charts. We had so many chants. We had, like, this Anaheim crowd was a great crowd. I don't know the rating system, so I can't give a number. I can't give a number like JD gave, but I think the numbers are going to be pretty good.
I have to agree. I think the numbers are going to be good. There was a lot of great energy, and if nothing else, I think a lot of intrigue after what happened last night at SummerSlam. If people watched it, for the most part, people who watched the show seem to have a fairly positive opinion about it, and a lot of people really enjoyed what they got to see, so I think they're going to want to tune in to see the aftermath. And the people who didn't watch it, I think they're going to have read what happened, and either A, they're going to be pissed off and watch to see anyway just because they're hardcore enough fans who are going to do that, or they're going to be, like I said, intrigued enough by it, interested, like, oh, well, this is interesting. They just popped the title around a bunch of times. Let's see what's going to happen next.
I'm going to play devil's advocate and say it's not going to be that great.
Why not?
I think that this is going to be a situation where they're going to be a little bit disappointed, that they would expect it to be really great. And we'll see a little bit of a bump, but I don't think we're going to go from, and I don't know necessarily what the numbers are normally. If they're normally, say, 2.8
and 3 up. Usually
okay,
if it's like,
if it's like 3 at normal, I would say maybe 3.1. I wouldn't expect it to be like a 4 or anything like that.
But JD just said himself it might be a 3.2.
That's what I said. I said it was going to be a 3-2. I think it'll go 3-2 tonight. I really do. I think it'll be a 3-2 tonight. Because, one, it's the preseason Monday night game between Pittsburgh and Washington, and some people may have been watching it, but like I said, the real challenge is going to be in a couple of weeks when freaking Monday Night Football starts, right after Labor Day. And plus, you got that big game coming up, for Penn, Florida State, the ACC opener on Labor Day night. That's going to be a big night because, Raw's going to be in Chicago there. And you can imagine how crazy it's going to be when Punk's back home in Chi-Town. They're going to go ape and see Punk basically wring Heyman's neck. He already did damage to his arm, but they're going to really want to see Heyman's neck being wrung right in Punk's hometown. And Heyman's going to get a ton of heat in Chi-Town.
Mm-hmm.
All right, JD. Awesome call tonight, man. We'll catch you next week, right?
Right, definitely, guys. I'll be home back in Pittsburgh next Monday. I'll talk to you then.
All right, travel safe, man. Enjoy your trip. We'll catch you next week, dude. Have a good night.
You too, guys.
See you, JD.
See ya.
JD, just a ball of fire tonight, dropping stuff all over the place. All right, guys, if anyone else wishes to call, we had a caller who called in the middle of that there. We unfortunately didn't get to you. Uncle Bill, if you want to call back again, we'll be sure to get you in. Call on area code 760-512-7247. That's area code 760-512-7247. You can also call it using Skype if you look at the Blog Talk video page. I don't want to ignore Austin Piano Man, who is in our chat. He's been putting in some really cool little emoticons to represent different wrestlers, like the little emoticon doing a shrug. It's Rob Van Dam. There's one that has its arms crossed and is shaking his head. It's Biggie Langston. Really funny stuff. But he did drop a question for us. He says, do you think Seth Rollins was working a legit knee injury all night and that he got from the Ziggler match, or do you think it was a work? Tony, what do you think?
You know what? When I first saw him grab for his leg, I thought that it might be legit, but I don't see anything on any of the dirt sheets or anything like that. And maybe it's just it's going to take a while for something to come out like that, but maybe he just did it like for something fun, you know. Maybe they decided that they were going to have all these extra matches, and he wanted to build to the idea that if the three of them are attacking everybody, there's got to be something that kind of evens it up a little bit. And if he's got a little bit of a knee injury, then that would explain why he's not jumping around like an idiot and attacking Daniel Bryan or Big Show. And, you know, maybe it's just smart, a smart play on his book rather than legitimate one. But if it is legitimate, I wouldn't be surprised.
Paul, any thoughts about that?
Okay, so this is how I know it was a work, because when he first injured the knee, it was his left knee. Am I correct?
I don't know.
I remember seeing it, and I think it was his left knee. And then when in the Big Show match, he hit Big Show in the head with his right knee as he's jumping off the top rope. And then he grabs his left knee. Now, a lot of people, I think it was a work. I really do think it was a work, because he was able to stand at the end of that match and do the whole fist pump shield thing, whatever. I honestly think it was just a work.
And Awesome Piano Man did confirm that it was, in fact, the left knee at first.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm just saying, he hit Big Show with his right knee as he jumped off the top rope, and then the announcers were like, oh, I think he re-aggravated his knee, which, you know, could have happened during the landing. I mean, honestly, it could have, but I'm a little skeptical. That's all.
I think we'll just have to keep an eye on it. If we see him either not wrestling in the next couple of weeks, or we just see Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose picking up the slack, or if he keeps showing it, you know, Seth Rollins is one of the most athletically fit guys they have in that roster right now. He's a big CrossFit guy. I think it's going to take a lot for him to blow a knee out or anything along those lines.
Yeah.
All right, so let's return to running down what happened here. We just had gotten through the first segment where Stephanie ended it by having Daniel Bryan escorted out by security. Next thing we had was a match, the first match of the evening, between Cody Rhodes and Damien Sandow, where we saw Cody Rhodes get a victory for the second night in a row over Damien Sandow, this time with just a quick sunset flip. Pretty much a wasteful little thing here. I mean, I don't know what their plans are, but to give Cody Rhodes 2 wins in a row, and this one doesn't even seem like Damien Sandow had a fighting chance by the time the match was over. What do you guys think, Tony?
I'm not a big fan of it. I said before I wanted Cody Rhodes to win at SummerSlam to build up to a Money in the Bank defense at Night of Champions where Damien Sandow would have to win. But doing this on Raw, they're kind of I don't want to say that they're like screwing Dean Ambrose, Damien Sandow. or that they're burying him or anything like that. Because everybody kind of throws that term around. They're like, oh my God, he lost one match, he's getting buried, his career's over with, and they, hyperbolize like that. But this isn't helping Damien Sandow out. And even if he does win a match maybe on SmackDown or next week on Raw against Cody Rhodes, he's going to have to win at least 2 more to kind of make up for it. So I would rather them stay apart from each other, maybe have tag matches, and Sandow's team can win, they could pin somebody else or anything like that, and then have one more match between the two of these at Night of Champions, where Damien Sandow wins. Cody can move on to something else. He's already got the popularity to move on to a different feud. Sandow is the one that kind of needs it now. In that one short idea of having one match on Raw that he lost, it's now completely flipped it, where Cody needed it before, now Damien needs it.
Very true. Paul, any other thoughts?
I agree with Tony on a lot of those points, but the Raw announcers kind of gave away a good point, that they said if Cody Rhodes beats Damien Sandow tonight, he might be in the running to be the number 1 contender for the World Heavyweight Championship. And I say, why not give it to Cody, let him get squashed by Alberto Del Rio, because we know Del Rio's not losing the title for a while unless it's to Damien Sandow when he cashes in.
Really? See, I actually expect him to drop it to Cody. I think Cody's the next champion.
Well, it could go either way, but, what Tony said was very true. Like, Cody can move on to another rivalry, and that would be one way to do it, is have him be in a championship match with Alberto Del Rio. Del Rio wins, Cody moves on, and then we still have Sandow with the briefcase. But that is also a very good point, too. I just don't know what's happening with this whole World Heavyweight Championship picture. This whole thing is just a mess.
Well, riddle me this. I think the whole reason Alberto has just been getting these filler opponents and has just been plowing through them is because he's holding on that title to eventually give it to a specific person, and that person is Cody Rhodes. Now, I think in this meantime, Cody Rhodes is just going to keep beating down Damien Sandow, because then eventually when Cody Rhodes gets that title, Sandow can cash that briefcase in on him, and then it seems that much more fluky that Sandow got the win, and then Cody has all this extra reason that's like, listen, you can't really beat me in a legitimate way. You've never beat me before. That's the only reason I could see why they would keep doing this.
Yeah, that was my original thought. That was what I thought was going to happen, but Tony brought up a lot of good points, which, I mean, wrestling can go either way, no matter what happens,
All right, so moving on from there, next segment we have is Paul Heyman coming out and addressing CM Punk. He says if CM Punk apologizes, he will work with him once again and take him to the main event of WrestleMania, which Punk is yet to do in his career. And that was one of the things that was mentioned during that symposium I was speaking of before. And there was actually some cool moments in that, too, aside from the whole Ric Flair debauchery. One of them was Punk saying, WrestleMania, you need to be in the main event. If that's not your biggest goal, then you shouldn't be doing anything near this business. And that he's had a lot of proud moments, even some proud WrestleMania moments, but he's never been in the main event, and that's what he wanted to do. We'll come back to Punk and Heyman later because they have another segment. So the next thing we had was the Funkadactyls against AJ Lee and Layla. The Funkadactyls win, and I don't think we need to spend any more time talking about that match. Next match we had was the Shield, all 3 members of the Shield. Oh, go ahead.
What are you talking about? That was thebomb.com.
Church. The Shield, all 3 members of the Shield took on Dolph Ziggler in a handicap match. Seemed like a pretty good match from what I saw of it. Ziggler really held his own, but unfortunately he fell victim to the triple powerbomb and the spear to finish off the match, and the Shield won it, as you would probably expect them to. Is there any particular reason why Dolph Ziggler got placed in a handicap match? Like, did he do something to deserve this?
I think he actually looked really good in the match.
No, yeah. But I'm saying, like, just like later we see the Big Show get placed into a handicap match because he pissed off Brad Maddox.
He made derogatory comments towards Triple H.
That was Big Show, but what did Dolph Ziggler do?
No, Dolph Ziggler did. No,
Dolph Ziggler did too.
Yeah, he said, I can't remember exactly what he said, but he said, ever since I started in this company, I really haven't trusted Triple H. That was the quote that they gave.
Oh.
Yeah, that was why he got placed in that handicap match.
Oh, any other thoughts on this match from Tony?
No, it was pretty standard. I liked it in the sense that Ziggler looked really good.
Yeah.
But it's about as good as you can get when it comes to handicap matches. They're all essentially the same. You got somebody who fights back, and then you got the numbers game becomes too much. Unless you're John Cena, then you could fight the entire roster, and it wouldn't matter. Or Triple H, because they've done that before. But Ziggler looked good, and if anything, I would say that if you're going to try to do like the dirt sheet spin on it or whatever, I thought that the Shield looked like they needed the extra hands in it. So maybe it's a good sign for Dolph, maybe it's a bad sign for the Shield, but I don't think necessarily that it is, because they were featured heavily on tonight's show. So I think this was just kind of a way for them to get these people on the card, do something that's a little bit different, instead of just having another rematch from SummerSlam and have Big E against Dolph again or something, and I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I mean, underneath the main event story players, which the Shield actually became part of it, but the most featured people underneath Randy Orton and Daniel Bryan was the Shield tonight. I mean, you saw a lot of the Shield. Yeah, that's kind of to make up for the fact that we didn't see them at all at SummerSlam. Yeah, true that. All right, so the next thing we had was a match between Alberto Del Rio and Sin Cara, returning Sin Cara, as JD had pointed out earlier. Didn't really last that long. The match ended up going to a no contest because from what it looks like, Sin Cara may have gotten himself hurt in his first match back on Raw. A big frickin' surprise. But we have the return of Ricardo Rodriguez, who introduces the new person that he will be representing, Rob Van Dam. What?
Yeah, I was sitting there going, oh my God, don't bring out Ray. Don't bring out Ray. Just don't bring out Ray. What the fuck? They brought out RVD. I'd rather than bring out Ray. Like, I don't know what is going on with this, but I'm curious to see how he announces him at the very least.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be an interesting development. I never saw RVD teaming up with Ricardo Rodriguez of all people, but I am so very interested to see where this goes. And if the Cody Rhodes World Heavyweight Championship thing doesn't work out, you could also see an RVD World Heavyweight Championship coming, maybe soon, but I don't know. It's all going to be a jumble until something pans out.
I'm really hoping that RVD and Alberto Del Rio don't get into a feud together. And it's partially because I'm just not a fan of either of them, but also because they set up this idea that RVD could get another shot at Dean Ambrose's United States title with SummerSlam, and if they don't go through with it and they end up just switching Christian to that, they should have just done that for SummerSlam.
They can have that rematch on any random Raw or SmackDown, honestly. I said before, they really just need filler opponents for Del Rio to go in there and beat in the meantime while he's keeping that title warm for Cody Rhodes.
And I can't remember who said in the conversation we were having earlier, but they said that Sheamus was out, Cena was out. The next person to go is Del Rio.
That was made of who I really want to leave.
Who was that?
That was me.
That was you.
Because Sheamus, Del Rio, and Cena are the three people out of all the people in WWE that I'm the most tired of. So when Sheamus actually left, it was like, oh my God, finally a breath of fresh air. Cena leaving, it's like, well, I don't wish anything bad upon the guy or anything. But hey,
but Sheamus, fuck that guy.
Yeah, fuck Sheamus.
Thank God. But it's like that WWE magazine cover where they have the Undertaker, Bobby Lashley, and John Cena. Like really? Come on. These three guys, whatever.
But with Cena gone, maybe some other people can step up. The only problem is Del Rio is always in this main event spot, and I'm always freaking tired of seeing him in the main event. Even if he were just a tag team member or something, I would think it would be okay, and I could see him every week and I wouldn't get annoyed. But when they throw him these world title reigns that are always boring, it's frustrating as all hell. And I would much rather let me put it this way, all right? People argue a lot when I say about Del Rio being boring. They go, well, he's good in the ring and he's good in the mic and whatever. He's not bad, but that doesn't mean
WWE title reigns were less boring.
But he's just
because there were more interesting people in the feud,
Yeah, he's just not somebody that really entertains me. And yeah, if I were in WWE management, I wouldn't fire the guy or anything. He's no Colin Delaney, but at the same time, I would not be pushing him as hard as they do. And when you push somebody really hard, and I personally do not find them that entertaining, they become more and more frustrating for me to watch. So Cena falls into that category sometimes. Sheamus definitely does. Del Rio above all. So if anybody else is going to leave for a while, I'd rather it be Del Rio.
There has been no reason whatsoever for Alberto Del Rio to be a 2-time world champion in 2013.
No.
No reason whatsoever.
No, he has done absolutely nothing to justify it. He never should have won it from Big Show in the first place. And I know that they said the whole reason behind that was because Big Show's contract was getting up. Oh, well, give it to somebody else. It did not need to go to Del Rio. It doesn't matter if they really care about, well, we need to push a new Latino star or whatever. You shouldn't be focused on, we need to take this guy that happens to be this ethnicity and push him. You should just find somebody who actually fits those qualifications and then let them do what dthey're supposed to do. Kind of like what the Daniel Bryan situation is.
You know, I think this might sound stupid, but I think WWE feels guilty about what they did with Mil Mascaros, his uncle.
Why would they feel guilty? Mil Mascaros is a freaking asshole.
He eliminated himself from the Royal Rumble.
Yes, I know he did. But they screwed him over big time on a lot of his contract. Like, they promised him when he signed with WWF back in the day. They promised him, you know, you're going to be a champion, you're going to be, you know, this big time thing, and then they just turned him into this joke. And now, you know, his family is big and huge, and they have a lot of pull in Mexico and with these Latino fans. I think they just feel guilty.
I don't know where you heard that. I've never heard that before. My story on Mil Mascaros is he comes in for the 1997 Royal Rumble. He has such a big head that he is not going to allow anyone on the WWE roster to eliminate him from the Royal Rumble match. He thinks he's too good to be eliminated from anybody, so he decides he's going to book himself to eliminate himself from the match. That's the story of Mil Mascaros I know.
And I would be fine if friggin' Aldo Montoya would have even thrown him out. It wouldn't have mattered to me. Or that
I might have a different story. I'm sorry. I'm you know.
No, they both could be true.
They both could be. I've just never heard that. And I feel like that's something that would be a little bit more well known. I mean, Mil Mascaros has been established in Mexico for a long, long time, before 1997. Even at that point, he was a legend in Mexico.
Yeah.
I don't think they're feeling guilty at all. I mean, there's more stories than just that about Mil Mascaros not being a very nice guy. Anyway, we're not going to talk about Mil Mascaros here. He's Hall of Famer, whether we like it or not. Next match that we had was the Primetime Players against the Real Americans. Primetime Players picking up the victory. Looks like Darren Young is going to be getting that little bit of a rub after all.
No pun intended.
I see what you did there.
Well, I'm just saying.
Did anybody else completely see this coming, like a mile away? As soon as the announcement happened about Darren Young coming out, it was just like, well, he's turning babyface. Immediately. I mean, it's not a bad idea. I probably would do the same thing if I was in that position, but I would have actually done it a long time ago because I thought that the Primetime Players had it in them to be babyfaces.
They're way too charismatic.
Exactly.
Way too charismatic to be.
And they're too silly.
You know, with Titus O'Neil doing the whistle, the dog whistle. Ears and barking. Like, you can get a lot of fans doing that with him.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell dog ears. You know,
but this gave WWE an excuse.
Yeah. Actually, more so, it didn't give them an excuse. It gave them popularity to do something. Because they've shown in the past when they have somebody that does something that's popular, then it's like that kind of what have you done for me lately sort of mentality. Zack Ryder, he's getting big on Twitter and all that. Suddenly he gets the U.S. title. But then, you know what, this isn't going to work out a whole lot. So we'll just job you out and we're never really going to use you again. You know.
That's exactly what I was thinking it might be. I'm thinking maybe they just thought some random people would be tuning into Monday Night Raw because they saw the guy come out on the TMZ, and they hope they might see that guy that night. And those people will probably never watch Raw again, and we probably won't see Darren Young again.
Right. Well, that's why he got the pin tonight. Because if they were serious about pushing just the Primetime Players, they could have given a pin to Titus, but the whole focal point was Darren Young. So,
yeah.
And that's not a bad idea. I'm supportive of it. It makes sense. Especially to have them against the heel tag team, so you would know that they're baby faces now.
I really don't see them giving the Primetime Players the tag belts. He came out and it's good for business that WWE is all tolerant and whatever. But I don't see them giving the Primetime Players the tag belts.
Why not? The show's not doing nothing with them.
Yeah, I know the Shield's not doing anything with them, but I mean the Usos are doing so much more. And yeah, you want to push the guy who has innovated for you, and he is the first openly gay superstar. But you know, I mean, I just don't feel it. I don't feel it. And I really want Darren Young to have the most success that he has, because you know it's hard being gay in any world, especially a masculine world like the WWE. It's got to be like, I know all his friends in the roster support him, but it's still going to be really hard.
All right, well, with that, I think we're going to wrap up the talk about Darren Young. Good for him. You know, I hope the success continues for him. I've always kind of liked him, not a lot. You know, I think it's just because I never got a proper amount of exposure to him. Since he's been with Titus O'Neil, though, I think these guys have a lot of potential, and I hope we get to see it. You know, there's a lot of great tag teams there right now, and whatever they do with these Matadors, that's great. But if we could put a focus on a lot of different tag teams, then why not? And Primetime Players certainly deserves to be one of them.
Yep.
So next we had a backstage segment where we learned Mark Henry and Big Show do indeed intend to challenge for the tag titles. Brad Maddox informs that he is going to be facing the Shield in a handicap match tonight as well, because Big Show was caught speaking smack about Triple H as well. But this time, the Shield is going to be allowed to have all three members in the ring at the same time, so there'll be tornado rules. Big Show asks if he's sure if Brad Maddox really wants to do that to the Shield. Next, we get a backstage segment with Zack Ryder and Justin Gabriel, of all people, promoting some Foot Locker contest, but it's interrupted by Fandango, and this was pretty bad. This was pretty bad.
Fandango saved that whole thing. I'm sorry. He like, I didn't care about the Justin Gabriel and I can't even remember the other guy's name.
Zack Ryder.
Zack Ryder.
See, what's he done for you lately?
I couldn't remember their names because Fandango came in and he was like, "Can you dance in them?" And then him and Summer Rae started dancing, and I was like, "Oh, okay, that's fine."
We're dancing now. Okay.
Yeah. This is.
There were a lot of Fandangoers in Anaheim tonight.
Yeah, this was not the only time that Fandango made a save, but we'll come into that a little bit later. We get another backstage segment next with Ryback bullying a dude with his suitcase. He ends up pushing him into a shower, making him open his suitcase, and turning on the water, running it all inside and ruining all of his belongings. And boo-hoo. You know, I really like these Ryback segments at first where he was slapping the guy with the tuna, but it's starting to run its course for me. I'm really starting to not be as amused by these as I once was.
Paden, did you just say this guy was getting slapped by the tuna?
Yeah, he was getting slapped by tuna. First week, Ryback was doing the bully gimmick. He slapped a guy with tuna.
I know, but it just came out. It just, you know, come on.
Yeah, I miss the good old days when he was slapping people with tuna. Those were the good old days for Ryback.
His new finisher, the tuna slapper. But I kind of agree to an extent. I think that they need to amp this up a little bit. He needs to start a feud with somebody is what needs to happen. They've done enough of this that we get the point. They're very straightforward. So we really can't have like 7 more weeks of this before he ends up having a feud with somebody, you know what I mean? They need to really just kind of next week you start with somebody new. It's a shame that Sheamus is out because it would be a perfect feud for Sheamus, even though he is a friggin' bully for the babyface side, as much of a bully as you could possibly get. But this was definitely their worst. I kind of thought that the Gazpacho one would have been the worst because that's such an easy joke, the gazpacho cold soup thing. Like, as soon as he did the soup is cold, I'm like, oh my god, they're going to the fucking gazpacho thing. Everybody does gazpacho. I've never even had gazpacho,
well, listen,
but
we haven't all worked in a comedy troupe where we know about these.
Yeah, but still, like,
funny.
I mean, I think I even had a gazpacho joke in Uncensored, but it's just it's such a trope that as soon as they did that, I was just like, all right, they're running out of ideas, or they thought that they could get the gazpacho thing over people like me. But at least he, like, dumped that on the guy's face and all this. This guy, I forget who it was in our little chat before, or while we were watching the show, but somebody said it looked like the dude from Man vs. Food started wrestling. And the thing I was wondering about the whole thing is he's talking about, get out of my locker room, and, like, what are you guys doing here? And they're all, like, dressed, like, in fighting gear. Who the fuck would they have been wrestling? Like, did these guys have a match on the WWE app that I didn't see at all against, like, fucking the Usos or something?
It's Bryan Danielson versus John Cena all over again.
Right, like that was the most awkward part about this. I was more worried about where this guy thinks his career's going than the fact that his bag got ruined.
It was all of his belongings, though. That was sad. Yeah. That was such a sad line delivery. It's all my belongings, sir.
That's what he said. That's what he said. He's like, this is all I got. And I would just like to say that for a company that promotes not bullying, they bully a lot, especially with this whole McMahon Daniel Bryan thing. Like I don't understand. Like I know they know people think it's fake, but how can they, blatantly promote this shit?
Jeff, not Jeff. Sorry, Phil. Let me explain it to you, Paul. Not even Phil. Third time is charm.
You know what? It's a 4-letter name. It's okay. You said 4 letters with every other name. It's fine. Okay. Phil, Jeff, whatever.
I got 2 letters, right? P and L. Forget where I was going. Oh yeah, it's just like Philip Morris makes those truth commercials trying to tell people about the dangers of smoking. A lot of sense that makes.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's all PR, man. That's all it is. It's not like they really give a shit about if kids are cyberbullying or whatever. It's all done for PR.
But kids are their main audience. I mean, like, what kind of message does that send?
They're not the main audience. They're a big audience, and it's someone they decide to focus a lot on because it's one of their money makers. But it's not their main audience, and
because that's why they call it the PG era.
Yeah, it's going to be their next character. Is they're going to bring back the anonymous Raw GM, and it's going to get cyberbullied.
All right, so next, go ahead, Paul.
No, that wasn't me. I was just laughing.
Okay. Next we had, it might have been Jeff. I'm sorry, we got Jeff back in line. What were you going to say, Jeff?
I kind of was thinking Ryback was going to say, "Don't drop the soap."
Oh, goodness. I'm glad it didn't do that route. I'm glad they stuck with the Despacho route. How do you say that word?
You can say it route or route. Okay.
What word are you trying to get it?
Route. R-O-U-T-E.
You trying to pronounce Paul?
Funny, Tony. Funny.
So next thing we had was the Big Show versus the Shield in their handicap match, and the only really thing of note from this is that they managed to get the Big Show up for the triple power bomb, and that was that. Match was over.
Hey, Big Show looked really good during this match. I thought he, they said he was in the best shape that he's ever been, which is debatable, but I thought he was in pretty good shape for this match.
Let's see the Big Show do a moonsault again then. That in a few years.
The ring collapses again. It's just like, Big Show, what the fuck? We can't keep breaking these rings. He did look pretty good, though. He's lost some weight. I'm sure he'll gain it back.
He looks great. No, you know what? I think this was a lifestyle change, and that's something he's been saying. It wasn't just a diet. It wasn't anything like that. He did it because he's starting to get older. His knees are starting to get weaker. He doesn't want to be like Andre the Giant, where he's not able to walk in his older age. He wants to keep light so he doesn't give too much abuse to his body. And I think that's great.
We have to come to terms with the fact that Big Show pretty much has Andre's disease, and he's going to die pretty soon.
No, he's not.
Oh, really? Yes, he. Okay, so the taller people the tallest man in the world died when he was 45.
Mm-hmm.
Big Show is almost. I'm pretty sure Big Show is there around that area. I don't know his exact age. I don't know when he was born. But he's got Andre the Giant's disease, and
No, he's just very big. He does not.
No, there's a specific gland. There's a specific gland in your body that makes you that tall and that big. Andre the Giant had it, and so did Big Show. Big Show got that gland taken out. I remember seeing this in his documentary. And we can't expect to see Big Show around for much longer.
Oh, you're right. Acromegaly. Yes, he did have it. Okay, I'll be.
Yes, he has the same. He has the same disease that Andre the Giant had.
But it says he's cured of it. He's fine.
Yes, he is cured of it. But the taller people get, the longer it takes for blood to flow through their extremities.
Mm-hmm.
And the older you get, the more of a toll that takes on your body. You know what I mean?
Well, he did say that one of his lifestyle changes, so you were mentioning that. If I remember correctly, he said he had steak 3 times a day.
Oh, yeah.
Which is like... Okay, like
that's something.
You're off to a good start by stopping that, dude. I don't think that really was the best way to do things.
That's very true.
But what I didn't get was Big Show has taken out like 10 people at one time before, and he can't take out 3 people by himself.
I guess it's just supposed to be because of the Shield are that much better.
Yeah,
they're in very good shape. They're in very good shape.
So I found a little funny story here while I'm looking at Big Show's Wikipedia here. In December 1998, Wyatt was arrested and detained for allegedly exposing himself to a hotel clerk in Memphis, Tennessee. Wyatt denied the incident and was later released due to a lack of evidence. How do you mistake the Big Show? Like, if Big Show is involved in something, how do you, like, not be able to point that guy out?
I don't recognize that penis.
I like the lack of evidence, too. Like, if they would have been, like, dusting the scene for prints or something.
No, I'll tell you what happened. Mr. McMahon got somebody on the inside to go in the evidence locker and remove it.
That
was somebody else's character. Like, they had Duke the Dumpster, and we had IRS and all that. It was like Matt the Morgue person or something.
Oh, goodness gracious. You mean The Undertaker?
Yeah, the Undertaker.
All right, so the next segment we had, CM Punk comes out. He invites some fella in the audience in the ring, some fat guy he keeps talking to. Guy was also one of the more featured people of the show tonight. He then requests Paul Heyman to join him in the ring. Paul Heyman comes to the stage with Curtis Axel by his side. Punk challenges Heyman to a fight, but Heyman says no, instead that he will have Curtis Axel fight Punk. And this was not an official match. This was not a sanctioned fight or anything like that. There's just two guys starting to lay blows on each other. Punk dominated most of the time until eventually he picked up Axel for a GTS, but took way too long staring over at Paul Heyman. Axel managed to reverse it and then went right after Punk's injured leg. He hit him with a number of chair shots, digging right into it. At this point, I thought we were going to see an injury angle. Like, I thought Axel was just going to tear him apart. Punk was going to get stretchered out, and we weren't going to see him for a long time. But Punk manages to hulk up. He picks Curtis Axel up for a GTS outside of the ring, drops him onto the steel steps with it, and that's that. CM Punk versus Paul Heyman continues. But the weird thing in this, and someone else I believe picked up on this as well, it was like Michael Cole was trying to build sympathy for Paul Heyman through it. Anyone else pick up on that?
I actually missed this whole segment, so I have to go back and check it out again. I have no idea what happened.
Oh, the story that Michael Cole was telling is Paul Heyman, this is the man who, told CM Punk everything that he knows and, tutelized him and all that whatnot.
So it's kind of like acting like Punk is
the ungrateful
the heel.
Former student. Yeah, it seems like they're reversing the roles. This is weird.
That'd be really awkward if that happens.
Yeah.
If the way that the storyline's going, that ends up being like Dolph Ziggler, Alberto Del Rio again or something.
It's either that or we're getting heel Michael Cole again, which, oh my goodness gracious, please no.
Maybe he was just bored or something and decided to do something different.
For God's sake, no. Just stick him in the glass box and don't give him a fucking microphone. Just
Can I have your attention, please?
If he's going to be heel Michael Cole again, just put him away in a deep, dark cave. Because, God damn it, the only thing that would solve that is The Rock rock-bottoming him again at his birthday.
Put him in a cave or a coal mine.
Oh, I hate you so much, Paden. I hate you. Oh, now, see, I found this very weird because the entire time leading up to this, Cole was firmly on Punk's side. Like, this came from out of the blue. And they've already got JBL on there, who's the resident heel, and King, who's the resident face, and Cole, who's just kind of calling the action or whatever. Like, he can be face or heel or whatever. But I thought that was so weird.
Okay.
Oh, Jeff's talking to his mommy. I'm going to put him on mute for a second. Next match we had R-Truth and Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt's Monday Night Raw debut, and it fell completely flat. No one cared about what was going on in the ring by the time Wyatt hit his finisher, which is the Sister Abigail, one of the awesomest names for a finisher right now, but not a good sign for Bray Wyatt. The crowd just did not give a crap about him after they finished their entrance.
Maybe that's because of what happened at SummerSlam, what a lackluster freaking end to that match was.
And what was that?
they put an asbestos cloth over part of the flames, and then Rowan and Harper climb over the ropes and ruin the match. Like, this would have been a great match if nobody interfered and it was just Kane and Bray Wyatt in an Inferno match. But no, they have to ruin it by dousing part of the flames and climbing into the ring.
Or maybe they would have looked a lot better if we would have gone into Raw and people, or actually I shouldn't say people, if the WWE management would have kind of booked this as if they really had a strong showing at SummerSlam and they did something, to quote the commentators, what they would do, this heinous act that they took Kane out, instead of just like, yeah, they kind of took Kane out with this weak-ass stair-step spot, and if you watched SummerSlam, it looked fake as shit, so
they actually took Kane, didn't they? They actually took Kane.
Yeah, but like they did it after that really, really horrible stairs spot. And that really, I mean, if you were looking into that, looking forward to that match, expecting Kane to get set on fire, or for them to have a huge beatdown, or something that really looked impressive, it fell flat to have that happen. So, of course, it's not going to be as exciting to see the Wyatt family if that's the best that they can do. Bray Wyatt can't even win his first match by himself, and then the three of them can't even do anything more impressive than an obviously fake move.
Yeah.
You know, the only person in this group that I think is going to continue to be a star is Luke Harper. That guy, there's something about him.
Really?
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, I
You're
totally
not being
agree with
sarcastic.
Paden.
No, I'm very serious. The guy's a really big guy. He's really agile. Has big boot. One of the nastiest big boots I've seen in a long time. I think the only person I've seen that was able to do it better, maybe it was like Test, and of course Bruiser Brody, which is of course who Luke Harper reminds me a lot of Bruiser Brody. It's kind of cool to see someone like that on the WWE product right now.
Kevin Nash in his day did an awesome big boot.
Yes, he did. But yeah,
And
Luke Harper is the only guy I see really getting to the next level out of this whole story here. I think Bray Wyatt's not going to catch on anymore.
Because he doesn't do anything. He doesn't do anything. He sits there in the ring for 3 seconds, and then he has his minions do the dirty work. I understand you want him to be a villain, but even villains get their hands dirty once in a while.
Yeah, he needs a feud too.
Mm.
Yeah.
This is what, the second time that Dave attacked R-Truth? Like, that matters? The audience doesn't even care enough to sing along with him anymore. I highly doubt that they're going to cheer for him.
There are no what's up anymore.
I'm pretty sure they're saying shut up.
What's up? Not your career.
Oh. Sad day.
So after R-Truth and Bray Wyatt, we got a commercial for some forthcoming Matador tag team, and this was just hilarious. They were showing like stock footage of bulls and Matadors throwing their sheets around, bullfighting. Oh my goodness gracious. Is this really the gimmick we're going for in 2013? I love gimmicks, I really do. But this is just such a 1995 type gimmick. What is this?
I was just about to say that. This harkens back to the days of Earthquake and oh god, the voodoo guy. I can't remember. It was the
Papa
Godfather.
Shango.
Papa Shango. Mm-hmm. Yeah. This harkens back to those days. Los Matadores. Like, really? Come on. I'm gonna take a page out of the Miz book. Really?
Yeah,
really?
This really seemed like a 1990, not even a 1995, a 1993 when they were starting this kind of thing, where you
Doink
had Doink and Dink, and to skip forward in time, you had like the Highlanders, and at different eras you had Mosh and Thrasher, the Headbangers. They kind of do these tag teams every once in a while where it's like the two of us are this weird gimmick, and
Foreign usually too.
Yeah, a lot of foreign ones too. That's the thing, and they never really catch on. So I don't know why they keep going to that well, but maybe they've gotten to the point where they were like, "Look, Epico and Primo," because that's what these are, right?
Yes.
It's not like Unico and Camacho.
Supposedly, no one can confirm it. They are masked, so we don't know.
But
could be anybody.
Even if it's two other people, I don't know who it would necessarily be, but no matter who it is, this is not going to catch on. This is going to be about as good of a You know what?
This is pretty much the Funkasaurus and Tensai.
No, I was gonna actually compare it to Tons of Funk and say that it was as good of an idea as throwing Tensai in there and having that tag team and hoping that would work. But I think that's actually a lot better. I'm gonna actually compare this.
That has kind of worked.
Yeah, it really has. That's why I stopped in the middle of my sentence. I would compare this actually more to Eric Escobar.
Yuff. Or who is that DJ Gabriel?
Yes, DJ Gabriel. That's another good one, yeah. Or
wow.
Bam Neely.
Nice name drops.
Yeah, this is not going to work. This is going to be ridiculous. When they come out, either they get no reaction or they get people that are just like, buh.
They get booed.
Hopefully they get squashed by the Wyatt family or the Shield or
anybody.
Usos, or the Real Americans or 3MB for fuck's sake. I don't even care.
Paul, can you turn your speakers down just a little bit? We're getting a bit of feedback here.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
It's all good, man. So next thing we had after that wonderful commercial for our future tag team division, we had a tag match, playa. And it was between the Usos going against 2 3-man band members, Heath, Slater, and Jinder Mahal. And the first thing that struck me is, why is Drew the man who's not good enough to be in this match and has to wait on the outside? No one
That's
cares.
a very good point. He was a former IC champ.
Yeah, and a former IWW champion.
Yeah, I mean, they've wasted Drew McIntyre pretty much through this whole stint. I mean, he's a great athlete. I mean, yeah, the Dream, what was it called? The Dream something DDT?
Oh, the double underhook DDT.
Yeah, the double underhook DDT.
The Future Shock.
The Future Shock, that's what it was. The Future Shock DDT, it was a nice move. It was a great move that nobody else was doing, and, they had the whole Irish versus Scottish thing going on with him and Sheamus. They've just wasted the opportunity with him.
Any thoughts, Tony?
I'm not as big a fan of Drew as a lot of other people are. I think that they pushed him way too far, way too fast. He was somebody who really should have started out as a tag team member with somebody. And the fact that they didn't do that, and they went right to the Intercontinental title and right to the main event, essentially, and then immediately nosedived, that's actually one of the problems that they've done in the past with a lot of people. So it's up to Drew to do something to make him branch out of 3MB, and I don't know if he's got it in him.
I think him and Wade Barrett need to get together. They have a long history together when they wrestled over in Europe. I think they could play off a lot on that. They already have a natural chemistry between each other from that. So why not make it sort of like a foreign invasion type thing? Put William Regal as their manager. Why not? It could be fun.
That's a very good idea, but you have the whole, Scottish versus English thing going on, and I know it's fake, and you can put that aside, but somebody's going to think of that. And
we have a Scottish guy who's pretending to be German in the Real Americans. Or not a Scottish guy, a Swedish guy.
Swedish guy.
Call him the UK connection or something like that, and they're breaking down barriers.
But technically, the Scottish are not a part of the United Kingdom.
They're breaking down
the UK
even more
flag. The UK flag is pretty much reserved for the British nowadays. But I was over there. And
Ireland's still part of the UK.
Ireland is, but the Scottish, they still have a couple problems with them. I'm not so sure.
Everyone hates Britain, man.
Yeah, and that's the truth.
I can see a tag team like that working though, because
don't let Burhan hear that. Don't let Burhan hear that.
They're obviously not willing to push Wade Barrett enough on his own, so why not put him in a tag team?
Wade Barrett has just been performing absolutely abysmal in our fantasy league. He was the last guy in the standings by a long shot.
Oh.
Man, has that guy dropped from grace. When we started the fantasy league, he was the Intercontinental Champion. No more.
It's a shame.
There's no more. There's no more boom. There's no more.
No, there's no more barrage. There's none of that. Anyway, this tag match ended with the Usos getting a pin via splash. Next match, and this was actually the final match of the evening, so I guess this was kind of our main event. The Miz versus Wade Barrett.
Oh, God.
Speaking of Wade Barrett, this was a very meh match. It ends when the Miz was going for a figure 4, and Fandango ends up interfering by doing a jump off the top rope onto Miz, and that was that. Looks like we're going to have a program between The Miz and Fandango continuing, and I think that could be kind of neat. I just hope Fandango is the one who's getting the shine out of this and not The Miz.
I think that they both need it.
Yeah.
But I don't know where they're going to necessarily fit this into the United Champions card.
I don't understand why they just put The Miz in that situation after what he did, like a former WWE champion. Like he was an IC champion. He's won every major title except for the World Heavyweight Championship. I don't fathom this at all. My brain hurts when I think about this.
What, fighting with Fandango?
No, not fighting with Fandango. Like putting him in the mid-card. They had him win every major championship.
Yeah, but that was
multiple
the
times.
That
multiple
was the past.
times. I know
he was the world champion like 3 years ago, dude. It's ancient history.
What has he done for us lately?
Well, okay. Well, yeah, what have you done for us lately? But I don't, like, what happened to the old days where people actually got what they deserved? And people, they actually...
Wait a minute. All right, Dusty Rhodes, one of the toughest SOBs and one of the most famous and well-known wrestlers all through the 80s, through the NWA circuit, comes to the WWF, and what do they do with him? They put him in polka dots, never wins any world titles. Harley Race, also one of the toughest guys in the world. Doesn't need anything special about him. He comes out in his tights, got his fancy beard, and he just beats people up. Comes to the WWF, what do? They put a crown on him.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's been like that for so long now.
It's what's done lately. That's always what it's been about, and that's always what it's going to be about. Everyone can have that fall for grace. I mean, Ultimate Warrior was once. I mean, that's a bad example, but
he was never WWF champion, was he?
Warrior? Yes, he was.
Mm-hmm.
One time with the IC championship.
Yeah.
He was one-time IC, I think a two-time WWF champion.
No, one-time WWF.
One time, okay.
And then he lost it to Sergeant Slaughter, who dropped it once again back to Hulk Hogan because everything goes back to Hulk Hogan. But I'm just saying, the system needs to change. It just needs to change. Like you need to give people who put in the work their due, what's due to them. You need to give them championships. Like these, and it's like any other job. Like I work for Pizza Hut. And when I go to work, I pretty much do everything, and the other cooks just stand around and pretty much do nothing. And I just got offered a management opportunity. And these people in the WWE who work so hard...
Whoa, these people. What's that supposed to mean?
I'm talking about the people who are underappreciated, like Drew McIntyre and Daniel Bryan and all these people who work so hard to get where they are. They need some appreciation. Otherwise, they're going to leave. They're going to leave, and we're going to be left with NXT people who don't know what the fuck they're doing.
I don't know if they're any good at making pizza.
Yeah, they're going to be going off and making pizza.
Well, this took a weird turn.
What was the next segment?
Well, the final segment we had was the Randy Orton coronation. Triple H's music is playing as we see the entire locker room on top of the stage. Triple H makes his way to the ring to join Vince and Stephanie. The Shield is guarding the ring as security, and I thought that was a really nice little touch. They were standing there looking sort of like a combination of the APA and the Big Boss Man. Kind of neat.
All those people, once again, no entrances.
Vince thanks Triple H for doing the right thing. Triple H says he did it for everybody. He did it for that guy in the audience. He did it for Vince. He did it for Vince's dad. He did it for The Rock.
Yep.
Did he do it for the fat guy in the front row?
He did do it for the fat guy in the front row. Then Randy Orton comes out. He may as well have just said absolutely nothing because I didn't come down with a single note for him. Triple H then calls Daniel Bryan to come out to the ring. He cheers the crowd to start chanting yes and calls for his music to start being played so that Daniel Bryan can feel like he's at home. Daniel Bryan makes his way down, but then the Shield starts attacking him from behind. Bryan almost gets him out of the way, but he's about to enter the ring. He gets a nasty, nasty spear by Roman Reigns. Then the Shield is about to triple powerbomb him, but Triple H calls them off. Triple H, triple powerbomb, my goodness gracious. He calls him off. Orton then hits an RKO as soon as Daniel Bryan gets into the ring, and then Raw goes off the air with Triple H, Vince McMahon, and Randy Orton standing tall, holding their arms up.
And Jerry Lawler saying this is a dark day, or this is a black day, or whatever it was for WWE.
Yes, he did. Yes. So, what are your guys' feelings on this? Where it's the regime of Orton right now? I mean, as Triple H said, Orton is the future. Tony, I mean, how do you feel about our future?
It kind of depends. I don't think that this is as horrible as some people are making it out to be. I actually think that it's kind of interesting. But it all depends on where they're going with it. If this is going to be another situation where they used this popular match of Daniel Bryan and John Cena just to elevate Triple H, as they've done many, many times in the past, then we're going to see a lot of bullshit. And that's going to piss a lot of people off because, as history's shown us, if Triple H gets inserted into a feud and it becomes all about Triple H, it suddenly becomes nothing about the other people that has any importance whatsoever. And you'll see Daniel Bryan get jobbed out over the next few months.
Oh, already, all anybody's talking about is what Triple H did and what Randy Orton did, and it's completely overshadowed the fact that Daniel Bryan cleanly pinned John Cena. So many people are forgetting that happened last night.
Right, and that's what I was worried about as soon as they announced that Triple H was the special guest referee, because that shouldn't have been the focal point. I understand that that's going to be one of their biggest points going into WrestleMania, but it is so many months away from now. They had more than enough time that they could have built it in some other way. They could have had Daniel Bryan as that big star, and they didn't need to do some kind of screw job finish and make him build back up to it again. So I'm really nervous about how they're going to do this because WWE's shown in the past that they're not infallible. I'd like to hope that they're going to pull it off, but you know, if you really ask me to put my trust into it, I can't do it. I think this is going to end up being something we're going to look back on in maybe a month, maybe two, definitely at the most 3 months from now, and we're going to go, well, that sucked. But it does have potential to be cool. And I did like the end of this Raw because it does make Daniel Bryan out to look like somebody who got screwed over and somebody who we can root for as the underdog, and you know, he's got something that he can attain and somebody who he can face too, because it's not just him against Vince McMahon and they're never going to have a match, or him against Stephanie and they're never going to have a match. He's got Orton. And Orton and Bryan have put on really good matches in the past. So if we get Orton and Bryan at Night of Champions and Orton wins the title back, or they figure out a way for him not to win the title but not just drop him after Night of Champions, that's the factor that this all revolves around.
Paul, what's your thoughts about the future?
I'm really disappointed that I did not get the chance to coin the term the LA screw job. But, you know, I think Bryan is their future, and they know that. I know they're trying to play this whole, you know, he's 5'8", which I kind of take personally because I'm 5'8" as well. And you have no idea what it's like to be a 5'8" man in a 6'4" world. Okay.
And you do?
Yeah, I do. I am 5'8". I am 5'8", and there are so many men that are taller than me. I get that. I understand what Daniel Bryan, you know, is trying to do. He's trying to be the best he can be, and you know, people holding him down just kind of sucks. But you know, I don't dislike Randy Orton as champion. I have always liked Randy Orton's wrestling ability. He comes from a great family, and you know, I'm not pissed that he's champion. I'm just pissed at the way it turned out, because you know that was Daniel Bryan's night. I mean, come on, Daniel Bryan deserved better than that.
I agree, and I don't want to go too deep into our full thoughts on SummerSlam. If you want to hear our thoughts on SummerSlam, be sure to check out this week's Smack Talk episode where we'll be doing our full in-depth SummerSlam review. So with that, guys, I think we're going to start doing our final bits to wrap this show out. We're going to do our high point, low point first. Paul, you want to give us your high point, low point for this evening's Monday Night Raw?
High point was definitely CM Punk, because he said balls and pussy, bringing back the Attitude Era. I loved his shoot against the Fan. I loved his shoot against Paul Heyman. He brought the pipe bomb back. I give the high point to CM Punk. Absolutely. The low point was, I can't really say the Divas match because the Divas match didn't really matter.
And it was Smark.com.
Yeah. I have to say the low point was this whole screw job against Daniel Bryan because I had a bad taste in my mouth the entire time it was happening. I didn't think he deserved that. I think that's the low point of the entire show.
Tony, high point, low point.
High point, the pop that John Cena got when he said that he was going to take some time off. And the low point, the ridiculous shilling of Foot Locker.
Oh, goodness gracious, that was pretty bad. This is going to be tough for me. I've stayed pretty quiet on it, but I did not think tonight was a very good Monday Night Raw. I think that's why we didn't have a very big cast joining us here tonight. I think a lot of people just did not feel the energy because this Raw was just pretty flat overall. And the reason I'm doing this right now is because I'm stalling because I don't know where to pick as a high point because none of this really stuck out to me as any high points. I'd have to say the point in the show that I was most interested was the CM Punk Curtis Axel brawl. So I guess I'm going to put that as a high point. I think that was the point where I was the most interested. Sad thing is that it was followed up with what I would consider the low point of the evening, and that was the R-Truth versus Bray Wyatt match. And it's a shame that I've gone from multiple weeks where I put Bray Wyatt in a high point, now he's got to be the low point because the amount of how flat this match fell was embarrassing. I mean, I felt embarrassed for those guys with how little of a reaction they got by the time that match was finished. Yeah, so there we go, guys. High point, low point finished. We're going to do one more go-around here, let you guys give your final words and your plugs. So, Paul, you want to run us out here? What's on your mind to put out to the world, and what do you want them to know that you got coming up?
I really think what the WWE is doing right now is very interesting. I'm interested to see where it goes. If you guys want to catch me DJing, I will be at the Shack in Black Earth, Wisconsin this Sunday, 7 p.m. for Jackpot Karaoke. Jackpot's up to $500, so if you want to come on down, sing your hearts out, maybe win some money, come on down.
Fantastic. Tony?
All right, as mentioned before, guys, smarkoutmoment.com, where you can check out everything that's going on in my mind with wrestling. I'm actually looking for more contributors to the website, so if you're interested in writing for a wrestling website, whether it's a column of your own and, your opinion-based kind of details, or if you want to do live results for Raw or, hell, even Total Divas, go ahead and send me a message on the contact form. Go to youtube.com/smarkoutmoment for Smack Talk. Last episode, we covered all of our predictions. This next episode, we're going to talk about all the review, the hot tags, the Ask Him Wrestling Trivia Question of the Week, so on and so forth. Go to Bleacher Report. I've got 2 articles up right now that I actually just posted and wrote today about SummerSlam, 3 losers who won big, and the biggest shocks and duds. You can check out fanboysanonymous.com, outonlimbs.com, everything that's going on with a mango tree.
All right. So with that, guys, keep listening here to Mega Powers Radio. We always got something cool going on almost every night of the week. Monday nights, of course, we have the Monday Night Raw post-show going on every week following the conclusion of Monday Night Raw. You can join us here starting, like I said, immediately at the conclusion of Raw. Tuesday nights, we have Geek Speak starting at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we talk about whatever the heck is on our minds in the world of nerddom, comic books, cartoons, particular toy, or something, whatever the heck we're excited about. Science, it's all on there. Wednesday night is the Dace Man Show, where Chris Dace takes over, and he talks about the worlds of celebrities and sports. And Thursday night is Keeping Kayfabe, my other wrestling show, where we pick a match from wrestling's past, go in depth on that. That starts at 9 p.m. Yeah, it's the same time that TNA Impact goes on, because it's the Thursday Night Wars. And when TNA finally goes out of business, you know who you can thank, us here at Mega Powers Radio. And, of course, on Saturday nights, we have I Got Gameplay, where you can listen to us talk about video games for 2 hours. That's hosted by Mr. Burhan, gentleman who's normally on this show but couldn't be here this evening. He's the one with the British accent that I know you all must absolutely love. Everyone loves a good accent. And I think that's all I got to push right now. We got a pre-show that will be happening for the Night of Champions pay-per-view. That's still a bit of the ways away. I don't even know the official date on that yet. But, hey, if you know what Night of Champions is, we'll be here before that happens talking about that. So I guess that's going to wrap us up for this night, guys. I'm Mike Paden for Anthony Mango. For Paul Hibbard, we had Jeff Croop on earlier as well. Thanks for listening to the Monday Night Raw post-show here on Mega Powers Radio. We'll be back next week. Thank you to everyone who called in. Thank you to Awesome Piano Man, the other people who were in the chat room earlier. Have a good night. We'll see y'all next week.